everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of lobsters, those incredible crustaceans that have captured our imaginations with their quirky looks, complex behaviors, and downright mind-blowing biology. I'm so excited to share this with you because lobsters are way more than just a fancy dinner option. They're like the superheroes of the ocean with a ton of wild traits and stories to tell. So grab a snack, settle in, and let's explore everything from their ancient origins to their crazy survival skills, their unique anatomy, and some fun facts that'll make you see these clawed creatures in a whole new light. Lobsters have been scuttling around the oceans for over 100 million years, which means they were chilling with dinosaurs back in the day. How cool is that? They belong to the crustacean family, specifically the Nephropidae, and they're built like underwater tanks with their tough exoskeletons that protect them from predators and the harsh ocean environment. That exoskeleton is made of chitin, a super strong material. But here's the wild part. Lobsters outgrow it and have to molt, shedding their entire shell in a process that's like the ultimate wardrobe change. Imagine squeezing out of a full-body suit that's too tight, leaving you soft and vulnerable for a bit while your new shell hardens. That's what lobsters go through multiple times in their lives, especially when they're young. And speaking of youth, lobsters start life as tiny, almost invisible larvae floating in the ocean, going through several stages before they even start looking like the lobsters we know, which takes about a year. They're survivors from the get-go, dodging predators like fish and even other lobsters because, yeah, they can be a bit cannibalistic in a pinch. Now, let's talk about those iconic claws. One for crushing and one for cutting, like nature's own Swiss Army knife. The crusher claw is beefy and powerful, perfect for smashing shells of mussels or clams, while the cutter claw is more precise, used for slicing through softer prey. Fun fact, lobsters can be right-handed or left-handed, depending on which claw is the dominant crusher, and scientists still aren't totally sure how that gets decided. Their claws aren't just for eating, though. They use them to communicate, defend their territory, and even flirt during mating season. Oh, and get this, lobsters are super territorial. They'll square up with other lobsters using their claws and antennae to size each other up, sometimes spraying urine as a chemical signal to assert dominance. Yep, lobsters have a whole chemical warfare thing going on. Their sense of smell is off the charts, with those long, whip-like antennae picking up chemical cues in the water from miles away, helping them find food, mates, or even avoid danger. Speaking of food, lobsters are omnivores with a menu that's honestly pretty wild. They'll munch on crabs, clams, fish, worms, and even seaweed or dead stuff on the ocean floor. They're like the vacuum cleaners of the sea, keeping things tidy while chowing down. But what's really mind-blowing is their ability to regenerate, lose a claw or a leg. No big deal. They'll just grow it back during their next molt, like some kind of ocean wolverine. And here's a crazy one for you. Lobsters don't really age the way we do. They're biologically immortal, meaning they don't weaken or lose fertility with age. They keep growing, molting, and reproducing their whole lives, which can last over 50 years in the wild. Though most don't make it that long due to predators, disease, or fishing. Their secret? An enzyme called telomerase that repairs their DNA, keeping their cells in tip-top shape. Now, let's talk about their nervous system, because it's both weird and impressive. Lobsters have a decentralized nervous system with multiple ganglia, or mini brains, spread throughout their body, so they can keep moving and reacting even if part of their system gets damaged. This makes them super resilient, but it's also why there's been so much debate about whether they feel pain. Scientists are still figuring that one out, but studies suggest they do respond to harmful stimuli, which has led to changes in how some places handle them in the kitchen. On the flip side, their brains are tiny, about the size of a grasshopper's, but they're still capable of complex behaviors like learning, remembering, and even recognizing other lobsters. Their eyesight is pretty basic, relying on compound eyes that detect movement and light, but they don't need HD vision when their sense of smell and touch are so dialed in. Let's not forget their incredible color-changing abilities, not like a chameleon, but through their diet and environment. Most lobsters are a mottled brownish-green in the wild to blend into the ocean floor, but they can turn bright red, blue, or even split color due to genetic quirks or what they eat. That red color we associate with cooked lobster, that's just the heat breaking down pigments in their shell, revealing the vibrant hues underneath. And here's a fun fact. In rare cases, about 1 in 30 million, you'll find a blue lobster caused by a genetic mutation that overproduces a certain protein. How stunning would that be to see in the wild? Lobsters also have a wild reproductive cycle. Females carry thousands of eggs under their tails for up to a year before they hatch, and only a tiny fraction of those babies survive to adulthood. It's a tough world out there, but the ones that make it are built to thrive in rocky coastal waters, hiding in crevices or burrowing to stay safe. They're mostly nocturnal, doing their hunting and exploring at night, which is why lobster traps often work best when left overnight. And speaking of traps, lobsters have been a huge part of human culture for centuries, not just as food, but as symbols of luxury, resilience, and even mystery in art and literature. Did you know that in colonial America, lobsters were so plentiful they were considered poor man's food and fed to prisoners? Crazy how times change, right? Today they're a delicacy, with the lobster industry supporting entire communities, especially in places like Maine and Nova Scotia. But overfishing is a real concern, so sustainable practices are super important to keep these guys around for future generations. Another quirky thing about lobsters is their social behavior. They're not exactly cuddly, but they do have a sort of hierarchy in their communities, with bigger, stronger lobsters ruling the roost. They'll fight for the best hiding spots or mates, and those battles can get intense, with claws snapping and antennae whipping around like swords. Yet, they're also surprisingly cooperative at times, like when they migrate in single-file lines across the ocean floor, a behavior scientists call lobster caravans. How cool is it to picture a conga line of lobsters marching through the sea? And let's not skip their role in the ecosystem. They're both predators and prey, keeping populations of smaller critters in check while serving as food for bigger fish, seals, and even octopuses. Their molted shells also provide calcium for other marine life, so they're recycling heroes too. One last fun fact. Lobsters can swim backward super fast by flipping their powerful tails, a move called the charadoid escape reaction that's basically their version of hitting the turbo button to zoom away from danger. There's so much more to these creatures than meets the eye, and I hope you're as amazed by them as I am. They're tough, adaptable, and full of surprises, proving that even the clunkiest-looking critters can be absolute rock stars in their own world. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into the life of lobsters. I had a blast sharing all this with you. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love for you to subscribe, like, share, and drop a comment below with your thoughts or maybe your favorite lobster fact. Catch you in the next one.